allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening. Tonight's meeting is being both video and audio taped, and if anybody else in the audience is doing so, please inform the board. Colin, thank you very much. Minutes, Mr. Gagner.
Mr. Chairman, make a motion to approve the minutes of November 23rd, December 8th, and December 12th as written.
Second. I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Old business. Sign amendment to the intermunicipal agreement for animal sheltering. For those of you, it has been approved on the town floor to enter into the regionalization for animal sheltering. The reason why it was amended is Hardwick has decided to opt out of the regionalization, so it's going to be Ware, Warren, Palmer, and Munson. So we need to sign a new agreement with Hardwick not now part of this regionalization. So I will wait a motion for the chair to sign.
So moved.
Motion
Second.
Seconded. All in favor? Aye. 3 copies, right? While I'm signing, so Lavash, any old business yet, Brandon?
No, I'm pretty well set.
Mr. Gagner, do you have any old business?
No, sir.
Okay, 1 second.
Guess I have to sign fast.
Yeah, I know. All right.
What time do you start?
12:30.
Why are you tired? It hasn't even been 24 hours.
Almost. I won't hit that this one.
Thank you, sir. Comments and concerns?
Right, did you just want to make an announcement that
New
the
business.
roster is going to be?
Yes, we're gonna pass over on the call roster. Chief is sick, he's not available to make it tonight, so we're gonna have some in the next meeting to discuss the on-call roster and the questions and concerns that we have, so we're gonna pass it over tonight. Comments and concerns? Yes.
Okay. The December 12th Saturday meeting was originally an on-site inspection, and then it turned into a regular selectmen's meeting. It was revised.
Well, it was revised,
Yeah.
but it was revised within the 48 hours.
Right.
But we had actually to sign the agreement for animal control and a couple other things. The common vic licenses, I think we approved that afternoon, and then we left from here to go out and do the inspection, so.
Okay. So it wasn't televised and
No.
there was no reporter, but it will, the minutes.
The minutes are
will be
approved
posted.
this evening, so they'll be posted tomorrow, so the minutes have been approved.
And my other question, under correspondence, now that you have the email site, I guess what is going to constitute correspondence? I mean, if you get an email with a question from a taxpayer, will that be read, or does it have to be up?
Well, if somebody emailed our office regarding a question regarding something that's going on in town, we consider it a correspondence. I mean, it may be part of the meeting, but we don't necessarily put everything into correspondence. We may just answer that question, respond to that resident's request, and if they're satisfied with that, we move on. And then there's other things. I think Becky and Lorena spent a good amount of time going through what we need to announce during the meeting. So a lot of things come in and they're just answered.
Okay.
Stanley?
I have a question about an article that was in the paper, about a complaint of this board about
Yes.
the vehicles inspection.
Yes.
I'm just wondering, is this part of this re-inspection from the state police?
Well, it was in the telegram, is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah, it was an open meeting law violation that the state found that I was in violation of that because I called the meeting without posting in 48 hours. So that was part of your question was it part of the state police inspection? Yes, it was.
Okay. Now, this never materialized. The vehicles were never re-inspected by the state police?
To my knowledge, no. We had made some attempts, but I mean, I can ask Tom. I don't think they've come out. Tom, you want to answer that? They haven't?
No.
No. So they have not.
Is there a reason that, I understand Mr. Lavash called him and canceled it.
Well, I think we actually decided we were gonna move forward with it, and I just don't think it's materialized. I mean,
It seems to me, I remember coming up that they won't come out and do a general inspection. They would have come out and checked the vehicles that were behind on inspection stickers, but they won't come out and generally inspect the fleet.
I think there was mention, I'm sure you mentioned at the time that they were actually short-staffed at the time we had called again.
Yeah, I talked to, I don't recall the lieutenant's name, but I made several phone calls to the state police to have them see about coming out and inspecting the vehicles. Contacted an individual on the DOT truck team. He had stated that it's something that they generally don't do, but he was gonna try to come out and do it. At this time frame, we had the fatal accident on Route 20, and there was another fatal accident, I believe, in Worcester at the time. But long story short, the state police truck team is extremely short-staffed. I believe it was like 5 or 6 years ago, he said there was like 22 troopers for Worcester County. They're down to 2 right now. So I further made a phone call to the Framingham Barracks and spoke to a gentleman there, I don't know the name, I have it in my documents, and got some information that the state police truck team inspection is not as thorough as a Mass State inspection. So it would almost be pointless for them to come out and look at the vehicles, because it's not as thorough, and a municipal vehicle does not fall under the liability of the DOT truck teams. So with that information, I had spoken to you a couple of times as a board, and I had kind of decided that it really wasn't worth having them come out, because the state inspection that I had done in October is more thorough than what they would do.
But presently, all the vehicles have been inspected.
Correct.
They'll have valid stickers on them.
Every vehicle that's on the road has a valid sticker.
And to your knowledge, they're all valid. There's no problems. Everything's been repaired.
As far as I know, unfortunately, my mechanic skills are not the greatest, but there was a certified inspection company that came in, checked out all the vehicles, there's valid stickers on them as far as I'm concerned.
Curiosity question, who filed the complaint?
The
Resident?
the original complaint
Yeah.
was a resident. Resident filed a complaint back in September? Yeah, September.
And that complaint was open meeting law or the vehicles?
No,
Open.
the complaint, that complaint, yes. Open meeting law complaint, was a resident.
Thank you.
Anybody else for comments or concerns?
One more.
Okay.
Back at the meeting we had with the K-9 situation, I gave a list of 8 items that I would like answers to in writing, and you gave the copy, I believe, to Mr. Lavash, and I'm just wondering where we stand on that.
I believe we answered most of those the night that the
No,
chief was
I
in here.
requested a written answer to these 8 items.
I'll get you the answers in the morning. I have the copy in the other room with my notes on it, but
Okay.
Okay.
I will show you after the meeting.
I like a copy written. Thank you.
Anybody else? No? Okay. Correspondence, Mr. Gagner.
Mr. Chairman, the office received the November 2015 monthly report of the fire chief. The office received notification that Jim McKeon recently completed the crowd manager training program on December 13th, 2015.
Good job. I did see that.
And lastly, the office received notification from PVPC that the CDBG has announced that they are seeking proposals from organizations that are in need of funding assistance for the public social service programs. Additional information can be obtained by contacting Chris Dunphy, Principal Planner at PVPC. His contact information can be obtained by contacting our office.
Anybody interested should contact our office for Chris's information. It'd be the quickest way to facilitate that. Okay. 6, Green Communities, Mr. Jim Barry, Regional Coordinator, and I believe our town planners here, Mr. Scanlon. Mr. Barry, Mr. Scanlon, you have the floor. Thank you for coming.
Jim Barron, yes,
Oh, boy.
just the season. And I promise I won't read all of it. This is just so you can take with you, you know what I'm talking about later when a question arises. So, I'm Jim Barry, I work for the Department of Energy Resources for Commonwealth, Massachusetts. I've been working for them for about 6 years. The reason I started working for them is I was a selectman in Belchertown, and prior to that I was on the planning board in Belchertown. And when I was a selectman, I heard about the new Green Communities Act that was created in 2008 that says if your town jumps through 5 hoops, you have access to money that only those towns that jump through the 5 hoops have access to. So I started attending some seminars, say, okay, what are they, how much are they, is there something that we could do in Belchertown and maybe Palmer, maybe Granby, I could help my buddies out. And the more I learned about it, the more I realized this really is something that we could get involved with. And then they decided they were gonna hire some people to actually go out and explain it to selectmen and or mayors. And so a buddy of mine who works for the state said, you know, I know you're almost retired, but you might wanna consider going and talking to these people. So I went and talked to them. So here I am. Watch out for those of you who are selectmen that attend meetings and find out about good deals. You might end up doing a job you weren't expecting to do. So I work for the Green Communities going from Hamden, Hampshire, Franklin, and Berkshire County. There's 101 towns. Page 2 says the Green Communities Division was created in 2008, and it serves as the hub for all things energy related with municipalities. So the only thing I do is I act as a liaison between municipalities and Boston with regards to energy efficiency, renewable energies, etc. I still live in Belchertown. I have an office in Springfield. Page 3 speaks about the 5 hoops that you have to do as they're written in the legislation. We can jump right to page 4. I'm going to go through all 5 fairly quickly, but feel free to interrupt me. I'm trying to be mindful of your time. I can run through this in about 15 minutes, and if you're interested in more, then I'll come back some other day, and we'll go through the whole thing in much more detail. So criteria 1 and 2, the two of them together, relate to zoning and how we're trying to make towns more business-friendly for renewable energy companies. As you may know, one of the big issues with any business is they're going to go into a town, and all towns are different, all zoning is different. They go into a town, they think about, okay, what's the permitting process? Is it special permit? Is it by right? Every town is different. So what we've asked for is some place in town, not every place in town, but some place in town be by right for renewable energy manufacturing, or renewable energy research and development, or renewable energy generation. So if your zoning is not already allowed, if you don't have a 43D manufacturing site that says, just come on in, we want to do you with site plan review. If you don't have one of those already, we can talk about how we might find a way to get the zoning fixed so we can easily meet criteria 1. So that's a business-friendly thing, criteria 1 and 2. Criteria 1 is the zoning, criteria 2 is permitting. The second issue, I used to say the second problem with Massachusetts, but now that I work for them, I have to say the second challenge for businesses in Massachusetts is not only what is the zoning, but when am I going to get the permit? How long is it going to take for crying out loud? So criteria 2 says, however you solved criteria 1, whether it's research and development or manufacturing, criteria 2 says you will give an answer to an applicant in an expedited format, and only someone in Boston would think that 12 months is expedited. So if you normally give permits out or an answer to a permit within 12 months, you're home free. So criteria 2 is usually a gimme. Criteria 3, which are on page 6 already, speaks about how do we as a municipality use energy and what can we do to use less energy. And it's a 2-phase process. One is, let's get our arms around all the energy we use in municipal buildings, vehicles, streetlights and traffic lights. Let's gather all that data in one place and get an idea of how much we're actually using. And the second half is, let's create a plan that will reduce that energy usage over 5 years by 20%. With things like, well, we know we could change out light bulbs, we know we could put in better windows, we know we could replace a boiler, we know we could add insulation. So we start making a list of things to do. Not that it has to be funded, because we know that town meeting does the funding and they only do 1 year at a time. We're looking for a reasonable plan that says, if we had the money, here's the things that we would do to reduce our energy usage and therefore taxpayer dollars on electricity and or heating oil. So criteria 3 is something some folks are in the process of doing anyway, in some level or another. You may already have a list of things you'd like to do. For some people, criteria is like 3 is like, oh crap, we really should be doing this, and they haven't done it yet. So criteria 4 is similar to criteria 3, but it focuses on vehicles. It says, In the future, if we procure vehicles for town use, we will purchase only fuel-efficient vehicles whenever such vehicles are available and practicable. We don't require snow plows on a Prius. So dump trucks are exempt, fire trucks are exempt, ambulances are exempt, police cruisers are exempt. In fact, probably most all your vehicles are exempt. But in cities where they have vehicles for maybe the lieutenant, policeman, or fireman to go from school to school, if they've got that person new vehicle and it was an emergency response vehicle, then it should get 17 miles per gallon or 29 miles per gallon. So again, for small towns, this is almost a no-brainer. It's easy to do because A, they're all exempt, and B, if and when you get around to buying all the Selectmen a new car, you'd want them to be a fuel-efficient vehicle car anyway, right?
Yeah,
I don't know, someone made a comment that didn't want a Prius.
No?
I'll buy Billy and I drive one. That's right.
Criteria 5 of the 5 criteria is on page 8. This one talks about minimizing energy usage in new buildings. So it was hard when the law was passed that says you have to minimize the life cycle cost of energy efficiency of brand new construction. And the state says, how the heck are we gonna do that? Because really the only way you can control construction is with the building permits. So at about the same time, as you may know, the building codes change like every 3 years. Every 3 years they get a little bit more stringent about energy efficiency. Amount of insulation gets required is a little bit higher. So at that time, there was a thing called a stretch building code. It was a bit more energy efficient than the standard building code that some towns had been asking for. So the state said, if you're gonna meet criteria 5, the easiest way to meet it is to adopt the stretch code, which is a building code that says if you're building a house, it will be more energy efficient than a house that wasn't in a stretch code. Now in 2009, 2010, there was a bit of a difference between the standard code and the stretch code. But in 2012, the building codes changed, and it kind of caught up with the stretch code. And in 2015, the building code's changing again, and the difference between a stretch code home in a stretch code town and a regular home in a non-stretch code town is almost zero. So the next page talks a little bit about what are some of the misconceptions. When it first came out, we weren't sure would it work. Some of these were issues that were brought by builders and realtors. What the heck are you doing to us? You're gonna raise the price of all the houses? Nobody's gonna build in our town, nobody's gonna buy in our town. Turns out the sky did not fall. Builders did not go broke, realtors did not get out of business. Some of the misconceptions was that the stretch code is new and experimental. Well, actually it's not. It's based on the Energy Star for Homes program that has been in existence for almost 20 years. So it's not new. There's many people already building to that level already, just not everybody was. Another misconception was it's going to require unhealthy homes. It would be airtight. I know you're not old enough to remember back in the old days when we ran out of oil and we had to buy gasoline on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday if your license plate ended in an odd number, and Tuesday and Thursday if you ended in an even number. But in those days, we started being really concerned about oil usage, and people started putting plastic under the sheetrock when they're building houses, and it turned out to be a bad idea. That was unhealthy. Since then, we've learned Tyvek, other materials can help block air, but not make them unhealthy. And in fact, a stretch code that requires testing, both inside and outside the house, prevents unhealthy, too tight homes. Another misconception is it requires foam insulation. That's not true. It is sometimes easier to insulate with foam to get the right R values and air sealing, but you can still meet the stretch code with the old pink stuff. So over time, the misconceptions have been disproven. The financial estimates of the builders have been changed. And if you decide to go forward on this whole project, I'll come back another night and we'll do an hour of nothing but the stretch code. We invite builders in, those who have worked with it and said it's crazy, and those who no, this is absolutely nuts, we're not going to do it. We'll have a conversation about it prior to going to town meeting, so people aren't wondering about, what is this? How does this affect me? The short story is it affects only brand new houses, and the stretch code is not much of a stretch, which I think is the next page. Yeah, the stretch code is no longer much of a stretch because the base code is basically caught up with it. The next page is a picture of the green communities that have already happened. So you can see some of your neighbors have done it. Hardwick was just announced last week. So there's now 155 green communities across the state. When we first started a few years ago, we said, who's going to do this? What do you got? You got 2 pages?
Half my thing is missing.
Oh, sorry, brother.
Page 10 is the last one I got.
All right, I'll give you mine on my way out. And so there's a picture of it says 136 green communities, but actually it's 155 now. And then the next page after that is, so there's the green communities. The next page is the stretch code communities. There's even more stretch code communities because some towns decided criteria 3 is really kind of difficult to do. So let's go see if we can get the stretch code passed first before we do the rest of this stuff. So some towns actually went to town meeting and got the stretch code approved. Now they're in the process of going through the other 5 hoops. So the short story is if you're interested in about 150 grand that can be used for energy efficiency projects in town buildings, like boilers, insulation, then I would suggest you get together a small group, maybe someone from the planning department, someone from the selectmen, someone from the DPW that knows the town. I come back and explain the whole thing. We break it into reasonable chunks, like planning board gets stuck with criteria 1 because it's zoning, and somebody else gets stuck with criteria 3, et cetera.
Okay. Well, I think, I mean, I know there's some interest in it. I mean, we've done some work on lighting for the buildings, the streetlight project I'm working on right now. So I think there's a need for it. I just get concerned about, finding the funding to do some of these projects.
So-
That's the sell on town floor.
Okay, so you need to create a plan to reduce your energy. You're not required to fund it. In fact, most people do this, create the plan, then use our grant money to execute the plan.
Okay.
Once you spend the first chunk of money that you get, which like I say for a town your size is probably about 150 grand, once you spend that in a variety of projects, one big project, 2 or 3, whatever, every year you're eligible to apply for more money, up to $250,000 for additional energy efficiency projects.
Can you repeat that again? Every year we're,
Eligible for up to $250,000 for additional projects.
Year after year.
Well, you have to spend the last grant before you can ask for more.
We'll take care of that.
Some towns can, sometimes it takes a little bit longer to get the procurement done, and the jobs done. But if you can spend 150 in a year, you can ask for more money the next year and more. So Springfield, for instance, they have full-time staff doing this, so they missed 1 year because a delivery problem with some boilers they were doing. They did all the boilers in all the schools. Pittsfield has done some big projects. Smaller towns, they can get 3 or 4 projects done 1 year, and maybe they do another 2 or 3, because a lot of it's done with volunteers. So if you can spend the money fast, you can get more money every year. If it takes you a little longer, it's okay.
and larger communities with the size of their government are able to facilitate these things. And
Right,
we have smaller
absolutely.
communities and
Yep,
stuff.
yep.
I mean, we're fortunate we have a planner, and I know our planning board is going to be going through what Bill's gonna be working on this year. So I guess the recommendation of having the committee or trying to get together and having a meeting, maybe, we can bring it up to the planning board and ask, the planning board if they wanna go for it. I know Peter was pretty interested in this. He might be a good candidate for that. I know Bill's worked on it, so a member of our board and community members or local contractors, I'm not sure, maybe Jack too, Beth. And I think that's probably our next step, is to do that, and then probably have you come in and develop a plan and see what we wanna do. I mean, it's worth looking into, but I think we need to get the people that wanna be committed to putting in some time to doing it, and moving forward.
Jim, in terms of doing the energy audit and the identification projects, does the town need to hire somebody to help with that step?
So there are some folks that will do it for you. There's a couple answers. First, the answer to your question is no, you don't have to hire somebody. But there are different degrees of a 5-year plan, how detailed it is. We offer every year something called a META grant, Municipal Energy Technical Assistance, which is $12,500 where you can hire a firm to go through all your buildings and make a checkoff list for you in enough detail that says, if you had the money, here's what you might want to do. And by the way, here's the priority based on payback and/or energy savings. So that's available, so you want to keep your eyes open for the META grant. Another option is to, some towns already have this to-do list done. So some guy, when I went to my DPW director, I said, so if we had some money, what would we spend on? He opened up his drawer and he had a list of all the schools, so they were working towards it anyway. Also, the utility companies will offer no-cost energy audits to your buildings for you. And some of those utilities have subcontractors there's at least 2 that I know of that will come in and help you write your 5-year plan with the hope that when you get the money, they get some of the work.
Right, obviously. Gotcha. Yes, sir, you have a question?
Am I allowed to ask a question? Yeah. So, are you able to adopt the 2012 or the 2015 IRC and get away with meeting that 5th criteria?
No, sir.
You have to have the
Yeah,
stretch.
Right, because the idea is that you're going above and beyond the standard, although the 2015, if it gets adopted, it's probably gonna be adopted this coming summer. And as it stands now, the 2015 code is probably more energy efficient than the current stretch code. So there's a possibility that, and we should know in a couple months, there's a possibility either the stretch code will disappear, which is a possibility. What's more likely is the stretch code will turn into simply follow the performance path of the 2015 code rather than the prescriptive path. If you,
Okay.
I mean, I'll explain all that if you want, but you probably don't want the 20-minute description.
We'll wait for the next meeting on that. So I think, moving forward with the committee, or finding some members of the town government and people who want to be involved, would probably be the next step, and have you come back out if you're available, sooner than later, I guess. I mean,
So the timeline is October, next October is when you would apply to us again.
okay,
We have time for that. But if we have to change zoning, that's a town meeting vote. The stretch code is a town meeting vote. You might decide if you want to add it to your spring town meeting, or if you normally have a fall one. Some
our
people,
fall is after
Yeah.
that timeline, so it'd have to be the May meeting. So that's what I'm saying, we would want to probably look at trying to move forward this month, January, February, find out where we want to go, and if we can develop a plan. So
Yep.
I think it's sooner than later is probably the best bet, because of town meeting time schedules.
Yep.
So, Lavash, you have any questions?
No, to me, it would be the next step to put the committee together.
Mr. Gagner?
Look forward to hearing more.
Mr. Scanlon, is there anything you want to add?
No, I think it's a good opportunity for the town to get some grant money to do some energy improvements, so.
Yeah, it's been discussed in my year and a half. It's been discussed a little bit here and there. So, I think we need to look at it. I mean, I'm big about green energies and saving as much money as we possibly can.
Yeah, I do just have one more question for Jim. The town has done a couple of things already. For example, we're purchasing streetlights from National Grid. Can we count the energy savings from that sort of as a backward kind of?
so you can go backwards 2 years for your baseline.
Okay,
So you could use 2014 as your, how much energy we use in 2014, and work that was done in 2015 and or 2016, you can go on the 5-year plan, but marked off as done.
okay.
Okay.
So I think there'd be significant savings by
Mhm.
purchasing streetlights once we.
But you haven't swapped them out yet, right?
Not yet, no.
So that definitely, and we can all pay for some of that.
And how is that?
Our grant money can be used to
Okay.
purchase streetlights.
I'll give you an update. The RFP is due in on the 31st. So we're in with 5 other communities. In Boston, we just approved them to enter into this RFP last week. So Boston is part of our RFP now, which I'm hoping that's gonna help drive down the cost even more. With the stipulation that the 5 communities that are already involved are first before Boston's workload takes place.
Cool.
So we're looking at late spring, early summer for our installation, if everything goes all right. That's kind of the timeline I had set.
So I won't have money for you then. The soonest you'd get money is next year this time.
And I can't put it off.
That's,
I'm gonna have to meet
Well,
the
spend the money on
timeline
something
RFP.
else.
So I just wanted to put that out there. That's.
Yeah.
But we can use that as the 20%.
yes.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we can use whatever we get.
Let's get a better understanding of that. I mean, there are some benefits to that, so, that's good. Okay, so, I'm sorry, Tanya, you have a question?
Would different pavement preservation techniques,
Different
as
what?
far as
Sorry.
pavement preservation techniques and road resurfacing techniques that you are less costs, would that be eligible to go towards the?
So you have to make the case that it saves energy.
Well, it saves energy with a cold in place recycling versus new asphalt, because there's no fuel required to make the asphalt.
I'd certainly be open to hearing more about it, but as
Right,
far as I know,
so
that's the first I've heard of such a
Why
thing.
don't we plan on making sure Tom is
Yeah.
available for that committee? So, we'll contact you, Tom, you're on the committee.
Perfect.
I'll support Tom.
Okay, so, be that person that comes up with that
You may
list
be
of
chairman
things.
if you get the light.
And then one other question, Jim, was any part of your company involved in the Moving Together seminar that was in Boston a couple months ago? Some of it sounds a little bit familiar, but, okay.
Okay. So is there any other questions from anybody? All right then, so we know our next steps. I appreciate you coming in this evening.
Yes, thank you.
And giving us the paperwork and the explanation and elaborating. I look forward to meeting with you again.
Want your copy
Now
back?
you're gonna.
Sure, one of our board members will be sitting in on the meeting. So hopefully we can do something in January, Beth. All right, thank you,
Cool.
sir, I appreciate it.
Thanks, Jim, appreciate it.
All right. 7, Spring Street, the amendment to the culvert, that's waiting a motion for the chair to sign, correct, Beth? The amendment, so I'll wait a motion sign. So moved. Second. Motion's made, second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. All happy, Beth?
Yes. I believe there's a spot also for Bill to sign.
Shoot.
All right, sign.
I'm sorry, I signed where Bill was
It's okay,
supposed to sign.
sign where you're supposed to sign, he'll be
Yeah.
in tomorrow.
Okay.
Just reprint that page. My apologies.
That's all right.
That was my spot.
Thank you.
Yes. Baker Administration Community Compact Program discussion. I know you're here for this tonight, Mr. Scanlon. I had read all the documentation that was sent forward. I mean, I have some interest in some of these items that are on here. The regionalization is one that piques my interest a lot, so I guess I'm gonna turn it over to you just for a quick explanation as to what it is and if it's something that we should be looking at and moving forward with. And
Okay.
the floor is yours, sir.
Sure. When the Baker administration came in, they created this new program called the Community Compact Cabinet. And the cabinet consists of secretaries of various executive offices in the Commonwealth. And the intent of the program is to create a partnership between the state and communities. So this is the Baker administration's effort to reach out to communities and encourage them to work together on addressing some of the important issues facing the state. And so there's actually a document that the town would sign. It's the compact between the town and the Commonwealth. And if the town decided to go forward, there would be an understanding that the town would enter into a decision to move forward on some best practices. And I gave you a copy of all the best practices that you can pick and choose from. So you can pick from 1 to 3, no more than 3. And it includes a wide variety of tasks. It can be school initiatives, it can be budget issues, it can be energy and environment, housing, economic development. So on that sheet that I gave you, there's a whole list of probably 30 or 40 different kinds of things you could commit to work on. So that would be the town's commitment, is to take anything on that list that you feel is important for the town to implement. And then the state would offer technical assistance to help you move forward and implement those things. So for example, if you decided you wanted to have financial policies, somebody from the Department of Revenue could come out and meet with the financial team here in town and work on with the current financial budgeting system and recommend ways to improve upon that system so that the town would be more efficient in setting the budget, would be more transparent, and would get to a budget decision with public participation in a much cleaner and transparent way. So that's one example. And so whatever the town wanted to work on, it could. And in turn, the state, in addition to the technical assistance, provides bonus points on grant applications and other kinds of things that might come along in the future that would benefit the town. So I thought it was a good new program for the Baker administration and the town to work together on, work together on things that would benefit the town. So that's kind of an overview of the program. I think it's really shows a commitment on the state's part to understand what is happening at the local level and to overcome obstacles that might be affecting towns. For example, they said there will be no more unfunded mandates coming out. And I think that's a significant movement on the state's part. So I think, something for you to consider. If you did decide to go forward, you would have to decide which of those best practices you wanted to work on. You would contact the state, and they would sort of, work you through the program and help you complete the compact document itself, and then it would be signed by the chairman. And then there would be, whatever assistance that you need to implement those programs, the state would provide, that kind of assistance to you.
Okay. Mr. Lavash, any questions?
No, I'd like to wait till I get through readings.
Let's take a peek through it. They hinted on this at the CMRPC meeting as well.
No, I actually did read most of this, and I think that the most you can, I actually looked at some of the other communities that are already involved, and some of the, I wanted to see what some of their choices were for technical assistance in that, and a lot of them had the same types of things, which was kind of interesting. Financial was pretty hot topic. So is it, the maximum amount is 3?
Yes. I think it sort of reflects a capacity issue with sort of a small town level. How many can you actually work on at any point in time?
Right. So I guess our next step is we would probably have to review this and come up with 3 choices moving forward. Maybe have Bill's involvement, probably go to the planning board, speak to the planning board and see, if we want to have Bill working on this project, if we can choose some of the items. Maybe I'll ask to be put on the agenda for the planning board, and I'll, mention it. I can attend that next meeting to bring this up. And in the meantime, our board can look at the areas and maybe come up with
It's
an idea.
good,
No, it is. If you look at the communities that are involved, that's,
go forward.
yeah, a lot. So, yeah, I definitely think there's an advantage to it. So let's take a look at it, guys, and figure out what we can come up with, and then I'll get on the agenda. One of us will be there, we'll talk to planning.
Excellent.
See if we can use Bill's expertise on this also, so that'll help. Anything else? Any questions from anybody regarding this? All right, Bill.
Okay,
Thank you very much for
sure.
bringing that in. Appreciate it. Appointments, election members and Veterans Council member, correct? Member, that is. I will await a motion to approve.
I will make a motion to approve all of the election officers as written.
I will second.
And Veterans Council.
The motion is second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, may I jump in real quick, please? Can you just grab my phone behind you so I can go back to work, please?
I'm watching your hand movements.
I'm sorry. Thank you.
Yep.
That one.
Look at him like, I
Number
can't
10.
speak.
Annual evaluations by the selectmen, discussion and a vote. I had added this to the agenda this evening. Some of our departments have actually done evaluations. Council on Aging has recently done an evaluation of the director. I know that the sewer department requested, and some of the other departments have. For our offices though, there's about 5 or 6 members: police, fire chief, our secretary, our administrative assistant, animal control, the town accountant, that should be evaluated by us because they're appointed by us. So I had a discussion with council last week regarding something else, and this was brought up to see how we could facilitate that, because we don't want to enter into an evaluation process where it has to be a posted open meeting, where you have to have all 3 of us sit in on it, and it should be a private meeting with the employee and an individual to go over their personal performance, their evaluation, and it should be filed in their personnel file, and not something that's not an open meeting. Council's suggestion, and what other small communities are doing at this point in time, is the select board would appoint one of their own members to administer the evaluations. So the process would be is one of us would complete them, share the evaluation with the members, the other 2 members who are there. If there's any discussion or changes that need to be made, the board can make them, and then that one individual would administer the evaluations. I'm very adamant about wanting to evaluate our chiefs and our accountant and officials, I think it's an important step to understanding the employees' value to the town, things that they may need to work on, and it's a good chance for you to have a 45-minute to an hour discussion with these employees, especially leading into a contract year. Both our chiefs, our town accountant, and our administrative secretary's contracts are due to be renewed this spring. So in our bylaws, it states we should do it by December 1st, so we're a little late, but I still want to move forward with that. So I'm asking the board if we could appoint one of us to administer evaluations. Before they are administered, though, they need to share it with the other two members of the board to see what the evaluation is, if there's any questions or concerns that they may have before it's administered. So is there any discussion about that?
Yeah.
Go for it.
I will make a motion to appoint Dario Nardi to.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to appoint, I'm sorry,
Is that a yearly evaluation?
yes, annual.
Yes.
Our town bylaws state that we should be evaluating by December 1st. So, some have some things, but we've shared evaluations. I've found some great evaluations from other cities and towns for police and fire that are specific to those positions. I've actually completed a few of them, and I want to share them with our board members, but we need to be doing this. It needs to be something that's done, so the employee understands, where we are. So, I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Oh, it's unanimous. Thank you. I will update you gentlemen shortly. All right. Shepherd Municipal Building, gym use by youth basketball, discussion.
My name's Phil Hernandez. I coach at the youth level. My wife and I actually run we're the town coordinators for the 1st through 6th graders. We actually do kindergarten too. But I work with Rich Dushami. He coordinates the 7th, 8th, and 9th through 12th rec league. And right now, especially the inside gym time is scarce at the high school and at the elementary school. So my understanding is that on Fridays that this town is unavailable, and I'm asking if we can have that available because we have so many teams.
So, it's for Warren Youth?
It's both, Quabog.
Okay, it's in conjunction with Rich, I'm sorry.
Is it for rec league
Yes,
or school league?
rec.
I understand. I actually coached, I think, with Rich with this league years ago, so I'm familiar with it. So, so what your request is that if you can actually utilize our gym
On Fridays.
on Fridays.
Because it sounds like it's closed.
Well, the building's closed on
Right.
Fridays, and that's part of the problem we've had in the past, is we haven't allowed people into the building, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Lavash, because the building was closed, so we didn't want people in here on Fridays and Saturdays, especially during the winter because we turned the heat down.
There is no heat in the building on the weekends, and the lights and everything have been shut down to save money, so.
So the schedule that we have now, and I saw the calendar in our office, and it goes through Lorena presently for the times. There's no times on Monday through Thursday that would be, I saw.
We do utilize those too.
They have all those.
Yeah.
They have, okay. I know I've seen Mr. Ducharme here, so okay. So you're just asking for the additional day because is it some teams aren't able to practice or?
So we also, my wife and I are getting involved with the Suburban League too, which is Quabog. So it's, you got rec, 1 through 6th, 7 through 12th, and you got Suburban that facilitates 5, 6, and 7, 8th graders.
And this is West Brookfield and Warren kids,
Yeah.
correct, Ms. Berman? So when I actually coached, we used West Brookfield's gym also. We would use the Warren Elementary when we could. So right now, there's no times there available presently?
Right, that's exactly what's happening. 3 schools, it's,
As I understand it, Mr. Chairman, they have walked the rec league out of West Brookfield.
Why
Is that not correct?
I don't know.
I know Rich told me they don't allow them in over there anymore.
Can you elaborate on that, or
I
why?
don't know why.
What's going on?
That's in the last couple of years.
Okay. So I guess,
The only
go ahead.
caveat, the only thing that you would need to be cognizant of is once a month or once every 6 weeks, there is a dance that goes on down there. So when Parks and Rec needs it for a school dance, for a youth dance, there wouldn't be access to it. But as far as any other time, I am not opposed to, as long as you go and sign out the key down at the police department, giving them access to that building.
I'm not opposed to it, but I know we've had issues with keys and multiple keys being out there. We've had to rekey this building because we've had problems in the past. I think maybe we might want to reach out to Bruce first and find out if.
I don't know, I'm opposed to the whole thing. like I said, we shut it down to save money. You're gonna end up turning the heat on again, you're gonna end up turning the lights on again. We have already refused 3 or 4 people that have requested use on Fridays. And I'm just not for it.
This is a building for the townspeople, and it should be used for the townspeople, and that's my thoughts on it, so I am all for it, as long as there is a sign-out sheet, and as long as it's signed for and the key is dropped back off, and as long as, if there is a dance, you understand that it will not be available that night.
Well, then the question becomes, that the people applied for it before, should they get it before this gentleman?
That was a question I was gonna ask actually too.
I'm not sure who applied for it before.
I'm not either, but, no, what's right is right. If you're gonna give it out, you give it a first come, first served. Not this gentleman sitting here, and I don't have nothing against him, I don't even know him.
I mean, I understand the first come, first served thing, and I wanna give equal time to everybody. I mean, I'm a huge fan of kids in youth sports, and they need that, but I wanna make sure it's equal to all, so I think.
Well, one was the cheerleading, and they already have their time.
That applied for Friday, or asked for
No,
Friday?
they had asked for any time, and they were told no, but then they were accommodated with Mondays, I believe.
So let me ask you this, Mr. Lavash, because I'm not aware of it. In order to heat the building in the proms, would they be required to turn the heat on coming in? I mean, how cold does it get down there? I mean, I know how cold it gets, but I'm saying, you know,
Then they're gonna be running around the gym shorts.
they're gonna have access to the bathroom,
They have to.
the hallway?
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
We've been using this building for years. I was using this building
I
on
understand that. I
weekends.
think we need to, I'm real leery about the key thing, and that there's nobody here. I think there's
As long
gonna
as
have to
it's
be
signed
some.
for, though.
I understand
Then
that,
there's
but I think that
accountability.
Bruce has to have some involvement with it, or the police. I just, you know, I wanna make sure somebody's checking the building. I don't want the building unlocked and.
So if I take the ball from here and get the sign-out sheet and get Bruce to approve checking the doors, all doors, every night while on patrol, which is something that's probably done normally, then we can review again next week, make a decision.
Sure. I'm okay with that. I'm not ready to vote. We need
Yep.
a little more discussion. It's nothing that, like I said, I don't have anything against it. I understand Mr. Lavash's concerns are valid, and I understand your concerns. And I'm kind of in the middle of that, because I wanna make sure the building's protected, and I understand the problem we have the keys, so. And if there is nobody here, and I know from my own personal experience, coming in here on a Saturday afternoon when we did softball, I was chasing my kids through the hallway when the girls would go running up in the bathrooms. And I'm like, you remember?
I do.
You were here too.
I do. That's all part of it.
So from personal experience, I know how my kids were. So I think we can wait a week. Let's talk to Bruce first and get him an answer by Tuesday, next Tuesday.
Yep.
With any
And
agenda.
if you actually think about it, they readjusted all these working schedules in here so they could close Fridays.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're talking opening the building.
Well, we were in here on Saturdays before, so I don't see the difference, so.
So we will discuss it with Bruce.
Mhm.
You'll take this.
I'll take that one.
Appreciate it, yeah, just trying to be good stewards to the community and
And-
give, facilitate.
Now, you guys
these
took
kids.
the ball when, what was it, Tom
Yep.
left. And Tom stayed on for a couple extra years after his kids were no longer in.
So we'll have it on the agenda next week to finalize it. We'll
We'll have a
reach
specific
out.
time.
Okay.
We'll-
Thank you.
We'll finalize something by next Tuesday, okay?
Appreciate it.
All right,
Thanks,
thank you.
gentlemen.
Phil, thank you.
Yep.
Highway materials bid contract for hired equipment, approval and sign 2 copies, correct? Chuck?
Make a motion to approve and sign.
I'll second that.
So we have a motion to approve and sign the contract. Chairman to sign, correct? This is with Fountain Fuel? Yep. I have a motion second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 2 spots right back.
Yes.
I will read it this time, I'm not signing the wrong place. All 3. You're right here too. All 3, correct? Just 3
Yeah.
spaces.
Yeah.
I'm saying 2 copies, all 3
Yes,
signed.
yes.
Correct.
to bring one.
Thank you.
Treasury warrants and invoices, sir.
Okay, make a motion to approve warrant number 81 for $42,116.35, and vendor number 83 for $181,553.87, dated December 14th, 2015.
I'll second those.
Motion and second, all in favor?
Aye. Make a motion for, or not, if you want to do day by day, or I'll just go through mine and you can go through yours.
We'll do day by day.
Go for it.
I'll make a motion that we approve warrant number 82 in the amount of $360.79 dated 12/14/2015.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
One
One
abstention.
abstention.
And I'll make a motion that we approve warrant number 84 in the amount of $1,150 dated 12/14/2015.
I'll second.
Motion's made and seconded, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
One abstention. Jim?
Make a motion to pay payroll warrant 85 in the amount of $34,564.44, and vendor warrant 87 in the amount of $51,102.54, dated December 21st, 2015.
I'll second it.
Motion's made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
I'll make a motion we approve warrant number 86 in the amount of $285.43 dated 12/21/2015.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded, all in favor? Aye. One abstention.
Make a
One
motion.
One
Yep.
abstention.
Make a motion to pay payroll warrant 88 in the amount of $35,874.02, and vendor warrant 90 in the amount of $105,334.32, dated December 28th,
I'll
2015.
second it.
Motion's made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
I'll make a motion that we approve warrant number 89 in the amount of $210.97.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Down
Okay.
below.
Drawdowns and other for fiscal year 2014, invoice number 12. Make a motion that we approve for the Commonwealth Assistance Program through October 2015. Payee is the PVPC, the amount of $9,803.03. Also for fiscal year 2013, invoice number 1439-05-032. Property assessment and reuse planning, Warren's portion of the $1,000 invoice to the Community Opportunities Group in the amount of $500. And lastly, fiscal year 13, invoice number 1439-04-079. Property assessment and reuse planning, Warren's portion of $9,500 invoice to the Community Opportunities Group in the amount of $4,750.
I'll second it.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
New business. Designation of Environmental Certifying Officer, Warren Community Assistance Program, FY 2016 vote. You have that? Okay, where is this yet? Mrs. Sarah. Okay, I will wait a motion to appoint Mrs. Sarah.
So moved.
Motion's been made.
Second.
Seconded, motion's made, seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
There you go, young lady. And contract amendment number 2 between the towns of Warren, Hardwick, and the Community Opportunities Group, FY 2013 CDBG Part Project additional $1,000 to contract. That is this?
That's correct.
So Lavash, you had a chance to see this?
Excuse me?
Have you had a chance to see it?
No.
Well, check it out first. I didn't see that yet, I'm sorry.
Chris Dunphy asked that to be added.
I'm gonna read this. This is a motion for the chair to sign.
Yes.
Give
If
you
you
a
could
chance
just,
to look at it. Check it out real quick, please. Have a good holiday? No?
She's shaking her head, he's shaking his head, no.
Do you understand the additional 1,000? we have a motion to sign?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Jim, can you read that in the new business, please?
Applications are available in the office of the Board of Selectmen or the town's website for Warren resident property owners over age 60 who wish to participate in the Senior Citizen Tax Abatement Program in 2016. The positions are available at this time are clerical and are in the offices at the Shepherd Building, the Senior Center, and other town departments. Participants in the program will earn $500 abatement on real estate taxes payable in fiscal year 2017 after performing 62.5 hours of volunteer work for the town. Consideration will be given first to applicants who did not participate in the program last year. The closing dates for new applicants will be January 21st, 2016.
So contact our office, correct? Yep. Contact the select board's office. It's up on the website, it is. That I had to sign, so I'll sit there. Mr. Lavash, do you have any new business you'd like to bring up tonight?
No, I'm all set.
Mr. Gagner, do you have any new business?
A couple of things. I want to congratulate our police chief, Bruce Spirikowski, on being named president of the Western Mass Chiefs Association. That was done a couple of weeks ago. And wanted to congratulate a local resident, junior at Quabog, Zuzu Demetrius. She traveled to Colorado and participated in a Olympic qualifying event, and I believe has been asked back in the spring for marksmanship.
Oh, I read that.
Yeah, she, I just wanted to say great job, and that the town is behind her 100%, and we are very proud of her.
Excellent. Congratulations to her. That's great. I need about 2 minutes. I have one piece of new business, and I think it's probably a very important piece of new business moving into next year, budget season. Our board attended a meeting that was called by the school department on the 8th, where the superintendent, the business manager, and the budget subcommittee gave us kind of an idea as to what they're looking for this year. It's a lot. So, you know, we met, we discussed things, they discussed things with West Brookfield. I know there was an article in the paper last week regarding West Brookfield and the meeting they had. I did attend the superintendent's presentation to the school committee, his PowerPoint last week, I think it was the 21st, to see if there's anything I had missed or if there's any changes. I'm gonna make every effort I can to attend most of those meetings he has through January, but I think the important part to note here, folks, is you know, our tax rate went up by $1.09. We're now at $19.84 from $18.75. Their request right now for the town of Warren above minimum is $658,000. That's the request to us right now, and that number will probably change. Taxation-wise, you're probably looking at a $1.70 added to the tax rate if that was all through taxation. No cost of living increase to the seniors this year. You know, Social Security had no cost of living, so we have to look at all these things, and we have to be mindful of how we're going to spend our money next year. We want to fund the schools, but over the last 3 years, it's been $75,000, $225,000, $556,000, and now $678,000. I mean, I know the superintendent is working extremely hard to try and get Chapter 70 funding formula worked on and changed, and they're looking for all types of avenues, but it's gonna be a difficult budget year, and I'm hoping that our board and the finance committee, and we're working with West Brookfield, can come to a resolution, because our neighbors are gonna have a tough time funding the school department. It was in the paper, and heaven forbid, I don't want our town to be in that predicament. We do a good job here, and we wanna be fair, and we have local government that we have to look out for also. We have employees that work in this town that need salary increases too. So there's a lot that has to be looked at when moving forward, but initially, this is where we're at, and I applaud them for bringing it to us early enough to get the discussion rolling, but January 1st is around the corner, and budget season starts. Evaluations, contracts have to be renewed, so, you know, I enjoy this week, and it's right back to work next week, and put pen to paper and figure out what we're gonna do. I've spoken to finance, and I'm hoping that, you know, we can come to an agreement, and that the town meeting isn't gonna be as difficult as it was last year. There was a lot of unanswered questions, so I think we really need to get on the same page moving forward and be fair about what we're going to be looking at for funding the schools. There's just a lot to consider. So with that, our next meeting is January 5th, 2016 at 7 p.m. I'm sorry, you have a question?
Is there a copy of the proposed budget available?
If you, their PowerPoint's on their website. The superintendent has it on the home page on the left side. I think it's listed as his presentation, which outlines the request for both communities. I mean, we have a single page document that they gave us that we could make a copy of it and hand it out to you. Nothing's concrete, though.
Yeah,
It's
right,
they're
it's
preliminary
just a
numbers.
proposal. But, you know, I watched the televised,
The school committee? Yep.
and the audio was terrible, except for the PowerPoint, you know, when he did his presentation. I mean, we couldn't hear.
I mean, you know, I would encourage residents to attend those meetings. They don't get much attendance, if any, from residents when it comes budget season. And a lot of our residents come to us and ask us questions, whether it be outside of this office or here at this meeting, and they're probably better equipped to answer those questions. So I would encourage people to attend their meetings, but by all means, we're gonna do our best part to be there and to hear what has to be said, so we can answer the questions more educated, give you a better educated answer moving forward. I don't wanna misquote anybody. I had asked a question to the superintendent today, as a matter of fact. He reached out to me and I asked the question. I wanna hear it, I guess, so to say, from the horse's mouth. It's the best way to go about it. So I'm going to make sure I practice that moving forward. But I encourage residents to attend those meetings, attend our meetings. It will start next week. We're gonna start early.
If they're not able to attend the meetings, I strongly suggest reaching out to the school committee, the members on that school committee, because they are the ones directly involved, and let them know how you feel and what any concerns that you have, and they can let you know what the process is, because they're the ones that are going through it with us.
Keep in mind, the school committee has to vote on that budget on March 21st, so there's only 3 months. So there's a lot of work that has to be done in January and February leading into March. So there's gonna be a lot of meetings coming up to see where we're at, and a lot of discussion, and a lot moving forward. We just don't wanna be in this predicament next year, personally, for this town. I don't think we can afford to be. We are getting very close to a $20 tax rate. It's just, I don't wanna be one of 20 that's in the 20s. It's not an avenue I wanna venture into with our property values. We've had some growth, but we can't keep giving it away, folks. We've gotta spend the money wisely.
I'd like to start reminding people in general to talk to each other, to show up the annual meeting,
Yeah.
the special, because people don't show up, and that's where it gets put in.
Attendance is important. Attendance is key. But you need to be an educated voter, folks. Don't just come to me. It's important that you either come before us or go to the school committee and find out what's going on. Contact the superintendent, contact our office. But participation is key. And then we're not answering these questions outside the town hall on June 1st, and you're saying why. Please be involved in the spring. Ask questions, they'll get answered. So with that, we've announced the meeting for next week. Is there anything else, you guys? No? With that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
Motion to adjourn. Motion been made, seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Drive safe, nice to see you out there, folks. We'll see you next week.
Yeah, it's supposed to be
Happy
something.
New Year. I
else.
forgot to announce it. Everybody happy and healthy New Year, I'm sorry.
That's the worst thing you got.